What if Batman had decided to reveal his identity when the Joker had blackmailed him? What if Bruce Wayne had removed his mask at the press conference? What would have happened? The Dark Knight was a superhero movie that was released in the year 2008 and directed by Christopher Nolan. This movie was the second installment to the Dark Knight trilogy and a sequel to the Batman Begins that was released in the year 2005. The movie told the story of a tyrannical crime reign of the evil maniac named Joker, who made it his master purpose to undermine the influence of the Batman and throw the city in chaos and lawlessness. The inspiration of the movie came from the Joker's comic that had debuted in 1940, the 1988 graphic novel The Killing Joke, and the 1996 series The Long Halloween. The movie is considered to be one of the best movies of its decade, and the singular greatest and most influential superhero movie of all time. It would go on to be the best film released in its year and gross over $1 billion revenue worldwide, becoming the fourth highest grossing film at its time and highest grossing in 2008. The purpose of this DC fanfiction is to explore how the story would have gone if Batman had decided to give in to Joker's blackmail and reveal his identity. We would be exploring this idea surely in the story arc of The Dark Knight that was released in 2008. So sit back, relax, and stay tuned for this fanfiction. While the mayor, Harvey Dent, and Gordon discuss the problem of rise in crime rate in the city and how the city has been taken over by crime and crime lords, with the Joker at the forefront, the dead body of a Batman wannabe slammed into the mayor's window while dangling by a noose. The body had makeup on its face similar to the one of the Joker's, and also had a stitched-up grin with his mouth slitted from side to side. As they removed the body and laid it to the ground, they found a Joker card in it with a note that said, "The real Batman should please stand up." Later that day, Joker had sent a tape to the news networks in Gotham, which was played on air. It was a video of him tormenting and torturing the fake Batman until he finally killed him gruesomely. Immediately after the video, the Joker then said he promised to kill a new person every day until Batman decided to come out and reveal his identity. He kept to his promise and targeted public servants and police officers, killing one or two every day until the people of Gotham, angered by fear, decided to hold protest against the Batman and demanded that if the Batman really cared about the city, he was going to reveal himself. They carried signs that said "No more dead cops" and screamed out that they wanted the Batman to reveal himself and end the deaths. Batman was riddled by the guilt of so many innocent people getting killed because of him. He had the death of a lot of good cops hanging on his conscience. He then decided that he was going to reveal his identity. He took some time to speak with Rachel and asked for her advice because she knew about his secret, but even after he had spoken to Rachel and she disagreed with him, telling him that the Batman needed his anonymity, he still decided he was going through with his plans to reveal himself because he could have more innocent people killed because of him. He contacted Harvey and told him to organize a press conference for him and that he was going to use the press conference the following day as an opportunity to turn in himself and hopefully stop the killings. Harvey had kicked against the idea, but had finally gave in and decided to do exactly what the Batman had told him. At the press conference, Harvey tried to reason with the crowd and the accumulated press that was present. He told them not to let the terrorist, which was the maniacal madman named Joker, instill fear in them. That by them demanding that the Batman unveil his mask, it meant that the Joker had won. While Harvey spoke to the crowd, Batman swooped in, and the crowd began to chant, "No more dead cops." As they chanted and screamed, Batman began to unmask himself. Silence fell into the crowd as Batman revealed himself to be the famous playboy billionaire, Bruce Wayne. The crowd erupted in surprise and anger as the reporters pressed towards him to get answers. They started taking pictures and screamed out questions on the top of each other. How was it possible that the richest man in Gotham was the Batman? And they started asking him why he was playing vigilante. But Bruce Wayne didn't say anything and just stared at them. Harvey was enraged and surprised, but it made sense. That was the thing that Rachel and Bruce had always kept secret from him. It meant that Rachel knew and kept it from him too. It was the reason Bruce Wayne always seemed sketchy. Did he really care? Or was he just playing hero because he was a bored rich man? All of these questions angered Harvey even more because Bruce said nothing. Harvey immediately slapped his handcuffs over Bruce's hands and read him his rights before taking him out of the conference room. As he took Bruce to the police vehicle that was going to take him into holding, he told Bruce that he felt Bruce had betrayed him and made a fool of him. He had thought them to be not if friends, but at least somewhat cordial, and felt Bruce deserved to be locked up. Bruce had lied to him and pretended to be a hero that he was not. As the vehicle moved, he told Bruce that heads meant that he was a total fraud. He threw the coins and it was head. Bruce was just a pretender, like the public thought. He just wanted danger and was a rich man playing dress up because he had lived a sheltered and safe life. He then asked Bruce if all the lives that was lost was worth the excitement that came with the job. Bruce didn't answer. There was nothing he could say to the angry Harvey that would have made sense or made the situation any better. At that moment, the truck was attacked. It was the Joker. His goons immediately took out the convoy and stopped the truck to a halt. While the guards at the back tried to attack the Joker and his men, his armed men kept shooting at them. One of the guards was then taken out in front, came back to consciousness, and then placed a gun on Joker's head, ordering him to tell his men to stand down and give up. This guard removed his helmet and reveals himself to be Gordon in disguise. But while he was distracted, one of the Joker's men shot him. He fell to the floor as Joker laughed manically before he shot him dead. Harvey opened up the truck and tried to sneak Bruce away, but as they tried to escape, they got attacked by Joker's goon. One of the goons had a flamethrower with him. He used it and attacked Harvey, and in the process, his face went into flames. As he struggled, Bruce quickly caught him and laid him on his face, covering it with a jacket to drown the flames. But at this point, the damage was done, and Harvey fainted. With no equipment of any sorts, and only a prison orange and being handcuffed, Bruce tried to fight back, beating a lot of the goons, but he was finally overwhelmed and beaten to a pulp. The Joker then took Bruce while he left Harvey, who was later found by the paramedics. In a twist of events, instead of keeping Bruce prisoner, the Joker took him to the Wayne Manor and abandoned him in front of the door and drove off. Alfred later discovered the battered Bruce Wayne and took him down to the Batcave to nurse him back to health. Meanwhile, as Bruce was recovering from the beatdown he got from Joker, the next morning, the news had reported that Bruce, who was the Batman, was broken from police custody by the Joker, and that the altercation had resulted in many casualties, including the death of Gordon and a grave injury of Harvey Dent. It declared Bruce Wayne a wanted and dangerous criminal that worked with the Joker and declared him a fugitive and a criminal on the run who was armed and dangerous. It claimed that he had always worked with the Joker and was the mastermind and the chief sponsor of crime in Gotham. The Joker had finally won. He had not only destroyed Bruce Wayne, but he destroys the legacy of Batman and removes the public's trust from him entirely. Because of the news that came out of connecting Bruce Wayne to the Joker, the public attacked Wayne Enterprise. After that revelation that Bruce Wayne was the Batman, protesters went to Wayne Enterprise and held protest there. They screamed and had signs that said Wayne Enterprise was built on blood money and needed to be taken down. The stock prices of Wayne Enterprise dropped and was at an all-time low while investors withdrew. Harvey was taken to Gotham's General Hospital. His face was badly burnt and he was in a coma. Rachel had gone there to see him and could not stand looking at his injuries. She broke down in tears as she saw his condition. While she remained in the hospital, the Joker sent men to attack the hospital. As soon as he kidnapped Rachel, he declared an open season for crime in Gotham. With the Batman out of commission, chaos and terror broke out in the city of Gotham. Even ordinary people looted and stole while the protest against Batman blaming him for everything continued. After a week of nursing, Bruce finally came through in the midst of all the chaos that was the Joker that made it all possible. As Alfred briefed him about everything that had occurred since he had been out, he blamed himself and decided that he was going to put an end to all of it, once and for all. The Joker had gone to one of the banks in Gotham and was in the process of robbing it when the Batman attacked him and tried to stop him. In the middle of the fight, the Joker told him that he had kidnapped Rachel and showed him the video of her in a secret location confined to a chair with a bomb strapped to her. The cops showed up and surrounded them. They told the both of them to surrender and put their hands behind their heads, assuming they were, of course, as the news said that they were working together. But Bruce, who knew Rachel's life was in danger, refused, and while he was trying to reason with the police, the Joker made a run for it, and his men crashed through the police barricade in an armored truck and drove off. The police opened fire while Batman also escaped in an alley where his Tumbler was parked and proceeded in chasing the Joker as the police chased him. The Joker popped out of the armored truck with an RPG while laughing and shot at Batman. He was barely able to dodge, but not without the Tumbler receiving serious damage. He was able to eject out of the Tumbler in an escape pod that doubled as a bike and continued the chase. The second RPG that the Joker shot took out the brigade behind him and blocked the path of the police, enabling just him and Batman to continue the chase. The Joker then came out again and used a Smith & Wesson M76 to shoot at Batman, and while Batman dodged the bullets, he released a high-tension cable and with a smart move was able to bring the Joker's truck to its side. Most of the Joker's men were unconscious, and he was conscious and wounded, but not fatally. Bruce then knocked him out and took him to the Batcave for interrogation. Bruce strapped the Joker to a chair and woke him up with a substance in a vial. Batman then asked him where he was keeping Rachel. The Joker laughed and told him to guess. Bruce got angry and started savagely beating the Joker, but then stopped when he noticed that the Joker was hysterically laughing and enjoying the pain. The Joker then told him, and they were exactly the same people, and that no normal person would dress up as a bat and go around beating people. They were both not only freaks, but both insane. This made Bruce very angry. Bruce punched him over and over again, while he told him that they were nothing alike. But the Joker just continued to laugh. When Bruce stopped, he told Bruce that if he could look deep down, he would realize that he actually just enjoyed inflicting pain on other people just like him, and that there was no reason to just euphoria. He then added that it was the reason why the Batman fought crime. He just wanted people to mutilate, and a bit of vigilante gave him a good reason to do that. Then the Batman continued to beat the Joker angrily, but soon the Joker told him to stop, and he said he was willing to tell him where Rachel was. He told Bruce that he'd been stalling for time. He wanted to be late enough before he told him where Rachel was. He then told Bruce Rachel's location, and then told him that no one was going to be able to reach her in time, and that there was only one way to save her, and that was to prove that they were the same. He told Bruce that he had only two options. He could save Rachel by killing him, because the only way to stop the bomb was to stop his heart. Or he could let him live and allow Rachel to die. Either way, he won. Bruce was going to be a murderer no matter what choice he made. He then told Bruce that he had just 1 minute left to decide. After this, the Joker began to laugh. Bruce knew that the Joker had won, There was really only one choice, and that was to break his non-lethal code and kill the Joker to save Rachel. He then told Joker, since he wanted to die so badly, his death was going to be the last one he ever took. He then plunged a batarang into Joker's heart, killing him. The Joker laughed until he was dead, and quiet finally. As soon as he was sure that the Joker had died, he made his way to the location the Joker had given him, where Rachel was, so he could save her. When he got there, he fought the goons that guarded the warehouse, and after dealing with them, he broke the lock on the door and opened it. The door was rigged, and as soon as he opened the door, he watched Rachel explode into bits in front of his face, dying. He now understood why the Joker had been laughing, as at the same moment, he heard the police siren as he closed up on his location and immediately fled. Harvey woke up from his coma to the news that Rachel was killed by Batman, as the police had reported that they had seen him fleeing the scene and must have killed her and the Joker because he was trying to tie loose ends. Harvey was struck with heartbreak and anger. He was given his lucky coin, which was in Rachel's possession before she died. One side was still shiny, while the other side was starched and burnt. Just like half his face was also charred. He tossed the coin and said if it landed on the shiny head, he was going to hunt Bruce to the end of the earth, and it did. As soon as Harvey recovered, he led the investigation to find Bruce Wayne, who had fled from the country. Riddled with the guilt, Bruce could no longer stay in Gotham. Everything he has ever loved about the city was taken away from him. He left the country and moved to Florence, Italy, dropping his cape once and for all, retiring for good. Well, that's all for this fanfiction of the one where Batman reveals his identity in the 2008 Batman movie. The truth is that protecting Batman's identity gives him the anonymous to do things that being in the law enforcement agency will never give him. It also allows him to operate with safety. I imagine that as Bruce Wayne, the Batman has a lot to protect, which is why he tries to keep his identity a secret even from fellow heroes. But without the safety of his secret identity, we imagine that Batman is going to lose a lot and would have had difficulty operating in the style he picked to help influence the world. What do you think? Do you think that Batman should just come out and reveal his identity? Do you think that Batman might function better if he could function as himself rather than the Batman? Do you think Batman should do more and might have more power and influence to do more as Bruce Wayne than as Batman? In this fanfiction, we saw how revealing his identity affected his life and his work as a hero. We could agree that he lost more by revealing his identity, putting the people he loves in danger, than when he concealed his identity. Well, that's all for now. Let me know in the comments what you think of this fanfiction. Share with me your thoughts on this, and let me know which What If DC fanfiction you're interested to see next. Until then, take care and stay safe.